Midtown. I think it was on 42nd Street. And it was a huge apartment. At any given time, there could be 3 girls or there could be 20 girls. We were all about the same age, and we were in the city by ourselves, some of us for the first time.
I don't know if you remember when the birthday book came out, and there was an image of Jeffrey Epstein that somebody had drawn where he has 3 girls. He's on a lounge chair when I was doing that trial massage. He abruptly got up and his whole personality changed, and he said, "You're doing it wrong." And he said, you're going to have to take off your dress. You're going to have to let me show you how to do it. That's how you learn massage. You're going to have to let me show you on your body. That I really just shut down.
So Justin goes, "Fine, I'll meet you there." So they go there. They're running a little bit early. They go show up early, and they get on their plane, and Justin Bieber is there sucking a black man's.
There's some nights that you did something that in the morning you woke up and I can't do that anymore. Now I got to turn my life around.
Right.
There was that night.
Before becoming a global superstar, Justin Bieber was a teenager navigating intense public attention and uncomfortable situations far beyond his age. In one interview, he appeared visibly uneasy after a radio host asked him inappropriate personal questions, even turning to his mother for support. He responded by saying he felt uncomfortable and questioned why such topics were being directed at a 15-year-old boy. Unfortunately, moments like this were not isolated. Throughout the early years of his career, Justin often faced intrusive interviews and overwhelming public scrutiny, while still growing up in the spotlight. Over time, he became an easy target for criticism online, frequently described as troubled, reckless, or unstable. But looking back, many people now recognize that these moments revealed a teenager struggling with pressure and discomfort in front of the world. Long before the controversies and headlines, Justin Bieber was simply a young artist trying to adapt to an industry that exposed him to fame, adult environments, and non-stop attention at an age when most teenagers are still discovering themselves. Before rising to international fame, Justin lived a relatively ordinary and sometimes difficult life in Stratford. He was mainly raised by his mother, Patty Millett, after his parents separated when he was still very young. Financial struggles were a constant part of their lives, and Patty worked hard in low-paying jobs to support their small family while Justin pursued his passion for music.
A lot of these child stars, they come from an already broken family. So before he was famous, Justin was already fractured. Justin was born to a single teenage mom. She herself has talked about being a survivor of sexual abuse and physical abuse, struggling with her own substance abuse issues. This woman had a lot of adversity. Their family case is incredible, if not a miracle. But just because Justin became this big star does not mean he was not unaffected. And this is important because it has led him to his attachment style that he has, which if people were smarter, they would see his disorganized attachment and his addiction at the center of this toxic love triangle instead of focusing on, oh, Haley stalked Justin and Selena and Justin liked Selena's photo and all of that shit. Because not only was Justin raised by a single teenage mother, he was also abandoned by his father, who only reappeared when Justin started becoming famous. So imagine what that also does to you. You are worthless unless you perform.
And he'll do it in this album that he has coming. But I think, Justin didn't grow up with the easiest background before I met him. He'd gone through a lot at a very young age. And I also think that when you turn 18 and you come into that kind of money, we all go through stuff at 18 and 19 naturally. And then, for him to have that kind of...
Despite the difficulties he faced growing up, Justin Bieber suddenly became one of the most recognized teenagers in the world. Raised by a single mother in a financially unstable environment, he was thrust into global fame almost overnight, and the pressure that came with it was enormous. As Justin tried to adjust to the entertainment industry, he was frequently placed in uncomfortable public situations and asked inappropriate or invasive questions during interviews and television appearances. On one occasion during an appearance on The Talk, he was asked an awkward and highly inappropriate hypothetical question while still very young. There were also several moments at public events that many viewers later criticized as crossing personal boundaries. During the Capitol Summertime Ball, Katy Perry was filmed interacting with Bieber in a way that sparked discussion online due to the age difference and his visible discomfort. Similarly, at the American Music Awards, Jenny McCarthy embraced him on stage while he appeared uneasy and joked afterward that he felt uncomfortable. Looking back, many people now view these moments differently, Recognizing how difficult it must have been for a teenager to handle constant attention, public pressure, and situations that blurred personal boundaries while growing up under intense media scrutiny.
Just a couple.
Well, tell me that's the last one.
It might be.
No, it is. You don't, I mean, honestly.
David decided to treat Justin like his son's troubled friend looking for guidance, even though it was never asked for. Funny thing is, Justin ended up doing exactly what David told him not to do. But Letterman took it too far when he put his hands on Justin.
You know, I got believe.
Get that off of there.
Hey.
Although this one wasn't explicit in nature, it was still totally uncalled for. David would later apologize for his behavior, but it's odd to see how many people were so willing to put their hands on the boy. Luckily, he was able to prevent Leah Remini from getting her hands on him during this interview on The Talk.
I will squeeze your face. No, I will. No.
Justin had to shout no 5 times before she would stop, but that's not all. Earlier in this segment, she was forcing him to answer a really strange would you rather question.
Would you rather have to be naked on stage during one full song, or drink a cup of blended worms? Answer Justin Bieber.
For no reason at all, Leah insisted on pushing this very sexual question while there are little girls and boys directly behind her in the audience. Justin realized he was trapped because no matter what he tried to say, she was trying to force the answer she wanted out of him, but he stood his ground and chose to not give in to her manipulation. This wasn't the first time Justin stood his ground when a host got sexual with him. While doing a radio show called Mojo in the Morning, the host, Shannon Murphy, brought the conversation in a strange direction.
Has your mom given you the sex talk yet? I mean, like, I really don't want to have that conversation with my mother. Yeah. Like, I've kind of had it with my father.
You want to hear? Oh, really? See, my parents never gave me the sex talk.
Okay.
So why don't you give me the sex talk?
I feel uncomfortable right now.
Oh.
Why do you want to know the sex talk from a 15-year-old boy? That's pretty weird.
He very clearly stated that he was uncomfortable when the host brought up sex, but the circumstances that built up to this are a bit confusing because earlier in the conversation, this happened.
Justin, what are you going to be doing after the show tonight?
I thought I was picking you up.
Now, when I was 15 years old, I probably would have said some dumb stuff like that to an older girl, but apparently Justin couldn't keep his hands to himself.
That little kid is like a walking set of hormones. He is.
Wow, got a little too touchy-feely with you?
He wasn't just like patting my butt, he was grabbing my butt and he kept saying, is it inappropriate? Is this inappropriate?
Oh my God.
And he would grab it harder and go, is it inappropriate now? Is it inappropriate now? Hi. Oh my gosh, he's kissing me. Here, come sit here. Come sit with me right here. Dude, Justin Bieber just like comes up and you just started making out with me, you know that?
Is that inappropriate?
Justin was obviously flirting with Shannon in a juvenile way. Then she said live on air how Justin was touching and kissing her. We can imagine there were definitely some instances where Justin felt like he could probably touch whoever and whatever he wanted, since, well, it was often done to him. But regardless, the 26-year-old shouldn't have brought up the sex conversation on the air. Even men were infatuated with young Bieber. L.A. Reid, music executive who signed Justin to his first major record deal, said, "This kid was beautiful, like a woman can be beautiful, and men rarely are, and he turned it on as soon as he stepped into
8 hours alone with Diddy, who bragged on camera they were going full buck crazy. That's the same wild, toughen up treatment Usher got as a teen, where he walked in on stuff he didn't even understand. No wonder Justin unfollowed Usher and finally confronted.
While most teenagers were focused on school, friendships, and discovering who they wanted to become, Justin Bieber was growing up in an environment filled with fame, powerful industry figures, and non-stop public attention. Much of his life and career was shaped by adults around him, as he adjusted to becoming an international celebrity at a very young age. One of the most influential people during Justin's rise to fame was Usher, who helped mentor him and played a major role in launching his music career. Over time, however, some fans and commentators began revisiting older interviews involving Usher's own experiences in the entertainment industry. In past interviews, Usher spoke about being sent to New York as a young teenager by music executive L.A. Reid to spend time with Sean Combs and experience the music business firsthand. Usher later reflected that he encountered situations and lifestyles he was too young to fully understand at the time. As these interviews resurfaced years later, Some people began drawing comparisons between the pressures young artists like Usher and Justin faced while growing up in the entertainment industry. The discussion has since contributed to broader conversations about how young performers are treated, guided, and protected while navigating fame at an early age.
One thing the Diddy documentary on Netflix didn't touch on is that it was L.A. Reid who introduced Diddy to Clive Davis. Let's talk about it. So for those who might not know, L.A. Reid was a member of the group The Deal. He later broke away from that group with his bandmate Babyface, and the two of them together became a production powerhouse in the late 1980s. They then founded their own record label, LaFace Records, under Arista Records, headed by Clive Davis. As time went on, L.A. Reid began to focus more on the business side of the music industry, meaning the specifics of contracts, marketing, and artist development, and Babyface focused more on composing the music. This seemed to work up until 1993 when the two men fell out over Usher and Tevin Campbell. Usher auditioned for LaFace Records. L.A. Reid thought he was great and signed him to the label. But when Babyface saw Usher perform, he told L.A. he didn't think Usher was anything that special and that he would rather invest his time in Tevin Campbell. In 1993, things looked really promising for Tevin Campbell. He was signed to Quincy Jones' label, he had Prince writing and producing for him, and his first album was a hit. But L.A. and Babyface had said that they wanted the LaFace sound to stay with LaFace artists. So if Babyface went to work with Tevin, that would be a non-LaFace artist with the LaFace sound competing with a LaFace artist around the same age. So the two men remain in business, but Babyface pretty much says, listen, you go work with that Usher kid and I'm gonna go work with Tevin, and it becomes a competition between LA and Babyface. At first, it looks like Babyface is gonna win because he dropped two classics for Tevin, Can We Talk and I'm Ready. At that point, LA is trying to put together a sound for Usher, and Usher's first single, Call Me a Mac, is a disappointment. At that point, LA is looking for a new creative partner, and he sees that Sean Puffy Combs, as he was known back then, was fired. So he had never met Puffy, but he's like, hey, let's meet, let's talk. The two talk, and LA realizes, wait, you can't be my creative partner because you're more like me. So what LA decides to do is introduce Puffy to Clive Davis. Puffy and Clive Davis hit it off, and Clive signs Bad Boy to Arista. And from there, LA gets the idea to send Usher to live with Puffy, which Usher at one point called the most difficult time in his life.